guys, it's snowed here this week, so I decided it is time to talk about some of my favorite winter eyeshadows. It was suggested to me in fall that I did this video by Aging Ophelia, who, thank you so much for that recommendation. I really enjoyed making that video and I decided I wanted to bring it back for winter as well. So quite similar to that video, which I will have linked up in the cards, I picked 5 more neutral shadows, 5 more colorful shadows, and 2 palettes, a large palette and a small palette, that I felt really fit winter. For this season, I'm feeling Ice Queen, but also Winter Party, New Year's Eve Glam, sometimes a little bit of both at the same time, and I think that is going to come through with my color selections. So I think let's start with the neutrals, because why not? And the first neutral eyeshadow that I have to talk about today is from Armani Beauty. This is the shade 12 Gold Ashes, and this is like peak Ice Queen meets New Year's Eve Glam. It almost doesn't look like anything on my skin tone when it's not hitting the light, but it has this gorgeous, gorgeous sheen to it. It is seriously stunning. It's just this wet look. I think that part of that is that it's really a good skin tone match for me when it's not hitting the light, but I mean, look at that. I feel like I'm hypnotizing myself. You are getting very sleepy. Didn't need to hypnotize myself for that. It's been a long week. Okay, so we're starting out strong with the Armani Beauty shade. Now let's move into the little palette of singles that I have pulled together and start with probably the single most boring shade that's in this entire video. This is from the Tinkerbell palette, and I mostly pulled this as a placeholder because I really enjoy this type of shade during the winter. This is like a mauvey, pinky light brown. It is so boring, but that's what I like about it, because it just blends into the background of the look. It does a great job of setting off shades that have a little bit more pink or a little bit more purple to them. I think better, at least on my skin tone, than more neutral browns do. I like this because it doesn't look like a whole lot. I'm wearing it in my crease today, and it does a nice job of helping this pink purple kind of mess of a shadow that I have going on blend out into the rest of my skin. Helps it look seamless, but it doesn't add a whole lot of color. And for that, I've been really enjoying this shade, as well as a couple of other ones that I have throughout my collection. I just pulled in the Tinkerbell one because it's Tinkerbell, so of course that makes it better in my mind. Let's move on to this next shade, which is actually also from the ColourPop Tinkerbell palette. This is, I believe, Never a Dull Moment. I will have the shade names probably up on the screen. If not, they will be down in the description box below. But this, to me in the pan, looks like a brown, a really lovely shimmery deep brown, but it's a little bit more interesting than that. It has a little bit of purple to it. It has this reddish purple sheen to it, and I just think that makes it so much more interesting. I could totally see this being a single shadow look for the winter. It's a little bit more glam than I think a true brown would be, and I think it will work a little bit better for my skin tone because I am more cool toned, and especially in winter I like to lean into those colors a little bit more. Having that little bit of purple in this shade really just livens up my entire face, and it looks like I've done a lot of work if I wear just this shade, even though I absolutely have not. Our fourth neutral shade is a really light pink. This is Halo from Luxie Beauty, and it is just this absolutely lovely, blingy pink shade. Now, in comparison to the Armani Beauty shade that we looked at earlier, Halo is lighter. It's much closer to being a white, and whereas this is more of a gold, this definitely pulls sort of a blue-toned pink when it isn't hitting the light. I think that this adds a lot of brightness to my face. I find that a little bit of a cool toned, especially like a blue or purple sheen, works really well for me in the inner corner. Of the more neutral shades, we're going with another shimmer and another shade that I'm really struggling to get out of this palette. This is from Natasha Denona, and this is the shade, I believe it's Glam Green. It looks like a gray in the pan, but let me swatch it out and I think you'll see a little bit more of that green coming through. It's like a gunmetal green shade. It is gorgeous. This is another shade that I could absolutely see myself using as a one shadow look. Sometimes I find that these more gray toned greens tend to wash out my eyes because I also have pretty light greenish or grayish eyes, but this one doesn't do that for some reason. I think it's that extra bit of gunmetal that this color has to it. It's really nice and smooth. It applies beautifully, and I can definitely see myself wearing this quite a bit this winter. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful color. It's super unique. I don't think I have anything, I don't even all that similar to it at all. I don't think I even have anything in the same color family. It's just such a different shade for me, and I think for the market largely. I don't see shades like this very often. Now let's switch gears and move to the more colorful side of things. We've got the neutral sort of camouflage set of colors over here. Now on my right hand, I'm going to be swatching the more colorful shades, and we're going to start out with a ColourPop Super Shock. This is one of their Disney Princess ones, and A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes. ColourPop, you can't do the light pink background with white writing. That's not great graphic design. This is the Cinderella shade. Mine is not glued in, so I don't know how well I'm gonna actually be able to show it with the lid open. But what we really care about is how it swatches, right? So it is a light gray blue, reminiscent of Cinderella's dress in the movie. And we're actually going to be seeing quite a bit of blue because that's a shade that I really like for winter. But this is more of a icy, I almost want to call this like a champagne dove blue. I don't think that's a real color, but it's what this gives me. I think it's very, very pretty. This is almost a neutral when you look at it in comparison to the neutrals. I think it does fit in pretty well, but it does have that little bit of blue in it. I don't think I'm seeing it very well in the monitor, but on my eyes I really do see that blue come through, and that's why this ended up in the colorful side. Very, very pretty. Let's stick with the blues actually, and probably the most similar shade that I have in my set of singles is from Luxie again. This is the shade Starboy. Now, while the Cinderella shade is very smooth, this has some more texture to it. It is also quite a bit more blue and additionally more green. Though I think you can tell I definitely have a type when it comes to these winter shades. I love me some sparkle, I love me some shine, and a light gray, blue, green is definitely where it's at. Now for the third and final blue, we have a shade from ColourPop. This is Billie Jean. This is one of their metallic shades, and it is definitely deeper than the last two that we've looked at. definitely some more color here. I feel when I put this on in the morning, the couple times that I've worn this, I felt like it looked more gray blue. And then when I was out and about during the day, if I would like catch myself in the bathroom mirror, I felt that it looked more blue as time went on, which I thought was very strange. It could have just been a lighting difference, but in the swatch, it's definitely looking like a blue with some gray in it still, because again, I have a type. I stick to what I know, I stick to what I like, but definitely a blue. So that was Billie Jean from ColourPop. I also have a green, you know, another green. I think you could argue this one's a green, though it looks more blue to me. In person, it's looking more green in the viewfinder. The beauty of shifty shades, right? This is, I believe, Right Hand Mando. This is from the ColourPop The Child palette, and it is this beautiful silvery green shade. This is the closest thing I think I have in this video to a warm tone shadow, but again, it's really not all that warm toned once I swatch it out. It really does fit with the rest of these. In the viewfinder, I feel like these two are looking very similar. However, in person, this one's definitely a blue, this one is definitely a green. This one has some golden shimmer to it. Any shimmer in this, it reads more blue silver. It's really pretty. This is a shade that I think would be a great transition from fall into winter. I think some of these other shades can read a little bit too Ice Queen for, say, Thanksgiving, but I think that this brings in a little bit of that warmer golden fall approach while still having, again, some Ice Queen winter wonderland appeal to it. It's so pretty. Really, that entire Baby Yoda palette is just such an interesting set of colors. It's so pretty. It's beautiful. I think it might have actually talked about it in my fall eyeshadow favorites video too. But, I mean, what can I say? It's a gorgeous set of colors. I'm going to talk about it in any chance I can get. And then last but certainly not least, we have a blue pink purple shade. Most of the time I think this is a purple, and I think I can get it to show purple, but sometimes it looks blue. Sometimes I can almost get a green cast out of this. It's a very shifty, lovely shade. This is Ube, I think, from Luxie, and it's so pretty. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get, I think you can see the green there, but over some glitter glue applied over a darker base, you can get that full range of shift from pink to fuchsia, blue, a little bit of green. It is stunning. It's gorgeous. I am so in love with these Luxie eyeshadows. It's kind of a problem. I have more than I really want to admit to, but it's hard to not end up with a bunch of them because they're all just such a lovely texture. They have such a beautiful sheen and shift to them, and they're a lot less expensive than most indie eyeshadows. They are usually, I think, at like $3.25, which when you compare at other indie shadows, which seem to range generally between like $6.50 and $10 a pan, it's a lot easier to justify for me. So that was Ube. And then I have two palettes to talk about. With both of these palettes, I'm thinking more on the New Year's Eve glam side of things. So the first one, and the smaller one we have to talk about, is from Lorac. This is the Mystic Oak palette. I did a 2 looks 1 palette a few months ago starring this little guy, and I will link that up in the cards. But it is this super basic little set of colors. You have a black, you have a beige, and then you have these 4 neutral shimmers. There are 2 different formulas among the shimmers though. We have one formula that's a little bit more flaky, which are these 2 at the bottom, and there's something that's a little bit more smooth, which are these 2 at the top. These give a lot of dimension. They're very sparkly, they're shiny. I went super glam with one of the looks that I showed in that video, and I went super neutral with another. This palette does it all in 6 little shades. The price on this is really pretty good too. I think this is normally a $16 palette, and I don't know if Ulta is still doing it, but as part of one of their early Black Friday sales, they had this down for less than $10. And at that price, I think it is an absolute steal. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous set of cool tone neutrals. If that is your jam, you will probably love this. You will want to use some glitter glue with it to really get as much bling as possible out of these shimmers. However, you can also use this without glitter glue and get a little bit more of a subtle look. I can't say enough good things about this palette. I think it is absolutely stunning. And then on a somewhat similar vein, I went for a larger neutral palette as well. This is Stone Cold Fox from ColourPop this time. I hate the packaging on this. It picks up any bit of eyeshadow that you have on your fingers, and as someone who tends to apply their eyeshadow with their fingers, not great. However, this is a really nice set of cool tone neutral shades. I think they could have gone a little bit further into pink with this column and a little further into purple with this column, but overall it has a really, really nice assortment of neutral cool tone shades. You can get quite a variety of different looks out of this because you do have some somewhat more blingy shades. I mean, this shade is a bold, bold silver. It's gorgeous, but you also have more just, pretty taupe shades, some more pink shades, some more mauve. The quality on this palette is really quite good. I think it's one of ColourPop's better quality palettes, and I think it just really covers a lot of basics really nicely. There is not nearly as much texture in this palette as there is in this one, though I think they both have a nice variety. This one just gives you variety in shade, in tone, whereas the Lorac Mystic Oak palette gives you a lot of variety in texture. Now I have to stop talking about eyeshadow and wipe off all these pretty swatches. Sad. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I hope I see you all next time. Bye!